Welcome to the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast, building experiences that connect, remove friction, and deliver insights. Well, hi everyone, and welcome to our podcast. I'm Ed Kless, and with me today is Erik Jacobson. Erik got his start in podcasting in 2015 by cold tweeting his way into projects with podcasters like Tim Ferriss. As CEO of Lemonpie, a podcast PR agency, and Hatch, a podcast editing and strategy service, he has now helped over 200 brands use podcast strategies to drive millions of downloads and millions of dollars in value. Erik is passionate about the power of podcasting for businesses and brings his deep domain expertise, experience, and perspectives to every conversation. Welcome to the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast, Erik.
Thank you so much, Ed. Really excited to be here.
Well, first question, Erik, why do you do what you do?
Yeah, this is that's a good question. It's a big one. One I had to wrestle with quite a bit on my way to where I am now. The fundamental reason I do what I do is because I want my work to matter. And that means different things to different people. But when I got out of college and I was working at a job, I felt like if I left that job, nothing would change at that organization. There would be zero impact with me leaving. Somebody else would do the work. Everything would continue moving on. And it just felt like I was a cog in a machine that was not driving a lot of impact. So in order to change the world or the world of those around me, I needed to change myself. So I left that job and I entered the world of entrepreneurship. And what I realized with entrepreneurship is that it is an infinite game and it is an infinite painting that I get to add to with creativity and control every year, every week, every day, every week, every month, every year. And I love that. I love the challenge of that. It's fun. And I value those things over, I guess I would say over certainty that you might get at like working at a company. So those are just a few reasons. Like I also like the skill set that you develop along the way. Like as time has gone on, I get to feel like if everything was taken away from me, I would be able to build it back up again because of the skills I've developed as an entrepreneur. And those are things I didn't have before. Whereas if the job got swept, from underneath my feet, I might be sort of like floundering around and unsure of what to do. So those are a few reasons why I do what I do. And I chose podcasting because podcasting changed my life. And it taught me more about what's possible in business and life than anything else. And I knew it could do that for others. So that's why I chose that category.
And talk to me a little bit about how you think the market is changing, especially within regard to target customers, where they're hanging out. How do you reach them?
Yeah, so this is a big part of what we're seeing with marketing today, PR today, and how that relates to podcasting. The way that people buy is fundamentally has fundamentally changed, in my opinion. People want to buy from people. So I believe that the future of marketing and PR is the brands that are going to win are those where customers can name people who work there. And you can do that through lots of vehicles with marketing today, social media, YouTube, podcasting being one of them. And I think podcasting is one of the best. So my encouragement to all the brands out there is to not think of what marketing has historically been, which is like basically creating direct response advertising or lead gen channels where you're presenting an offer, you're using math and paid performance budgets to get in front of them, and you're attributing every click down to the penny of what revenue it brought in for you. And instead build a relationship with the customers you want to be your customers in the future by providing them value in the form of content such that they trust you and like you. And when they are ready to buy, there's nobody else they would rather buy than from you. And podcasting is one way to do that.
Of course, the problem with that is that people say, well, it's less measurable. I can measure the other stuff, and it's a lot easier to measure clicks than it is to measure this thing called a relationship development.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why it's got actually even more opportunity for you than many of the other channels, for the simple fact that most companies have to measure each click. That gives you, especially if you're a small business owner, an advantage over them, because these channels work. If you study brands that use them and use them to their fullest power, they are having outsized returns. It is proven. It is proven that they work. Social media works, YouTube works, podcasting works, creating content works. The question is, will you make it work for you? And many of the businesses that you might be competing with won't even enter it because they can't see the results in their analytics dashboard with a nice, clean attribution link. And so that actually means there's less people doing that than otherwise would, which means more opportunity for you. So I actually kind of see it as a good thing if you can study it and implement it in a way that will be effective.
I've always believed that the easier something is to measure, the more difficult, the less valuable it is as a measurement.
100%. Yep.
You know, how does one measure one's love for one's spouse? That's not.
Yes, exactly.
But I can measure clicks.
Right. And that's getting even harder. You know, platforms are changing, privacy laws are changing, even measuring all these clicks. Like, I think a lot of marketers are going to wake up in 24 months and realize that they should have gotten in front of these changes now, and they're going to be left seeing diminishing returns month after month after month for the next 2 to 3 years, until one day they're going to say, oh no, all of our faucet of leads is turned off because we've just sort of been getting death by 1,000 cuts, and we haven't been setting up our game plan for how marketing is best going to win in today's market for the last 3 years. So it'll be a bit of catch up. Yeah,
I think we're seeing that with Apple changing its terms of service and how that affected Facebook, because it's a similar type thing, right?
Exactly. Yep.
So we have an exit question, Eric, that we ask all of our guests, and that is, who is a hero of yours and why are they a hero?
Oh, man. Yeah. You know, it changes for me. I really love finding people that inspire me, doing deep dives on them, learning as much as I can from them, getting motivated by them. And then, you know, as time goes on, I find new people. And one of the themes, though, with that is people who set goals based on their dreams and work on them every single day and don't give up on them. That's kind of a common theme with people I like to get inspired by. And it doesn't really matter, honestly, if it's like a household name person or just like somebody I saw in my local community that is the best parent that I've ever seen, just by, you know, from the outside perspective. But one person who I was really inspired by recently is a guy named Nims, who is from Nepal. And he's got a documentary on Netflix called 14 Peaks. And Nepal is famous for having Sherpas that help people climb, you know, Everest and K2 and all these like world famous mountains. But they don't get a lot of notoriety for how difficult their job is and how much work they're doing to help support those people on those missions. Nims climbed the 14 tallest peaks in the world over the course of 6 or 7 months, when every single expert on earth said it was impossible, and said that the fastest other person to ever do it was like 10 years. And he did it in 6 months. And the reason was he had a mission. He wanted to bring awareness to, you know, his community and the folks that have come before him on that. And he wasn't willing to give up on that dream, even though if you do watch the documentary, you'll see it's immense adversity and really dangerous. But he made it happen, and that was super inspiring to me.
And lastly, Eric, how can somebody contact you?
Yeah, you can check me out at either of my companies, Lemonpie. So lemonpie.fm is if you are interested in getting interviewed on your customer's favorite podcasts, we can help you with that. Or hatch.fm if you are interested in creating one of your customers' favorite podcasts, we can help you either way.
All right. Erik Jacobson, thanks so much for being a guest on the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast.
Thank you, Ed.
Review and subscribe by searching your podcast player of choice. for Sage Thought Leadership Podcast.